Hi, my name is Whitney Raver, and I'm running for the State House of Representatives in South Dakota's 30th District. A little about my background. I'm the oldest of 5 kids. We were very poor and so nomadic most of my life. When I was about 12 years old, my dad got very, very sick, and my mother got scared and left. And because there was no one to take care of them, I dropped out of school in 9th grade to take care of my brother and sisters. The youngest was about 3 weeks old at the time. But one thing that motivates me today and did back then was the American dream. I believed in the future that was set aside for me by previous generations, and so I continued to work on my own. I continued to educate myself until I was ready for college. During that time, we drove all over the country. We wound up in Minnesota, which is where I got my GED and took my ACT, and when I got accepted to the University of New Mexico. But before I went back to the South, I figured I'd never come back to any place where it snowed, so I wanted to see the Black Hills, and I drove this way with my 2 youngest sisters and my dad, and my car broke down in Leeds, South Dakota, and I got out of the car in my little tie-dye hippie skirt and bare feet, and when my feet touched that earth, I knew that I was home. It was the first time in my life that I felt that I didn't want to travel anymore. So I belong in the hills. I started at Black Hills State just about 2 weeks late, and started in history. Was my major at that point. About 3 months later, I met the man that I would marry. Is Mike Raver. Is our 4th generation Custer Wildcat, and together we left to Indiana, where I got a degree in public health from Indiana University. I studied kinesiology, neuroscience, and martial arts training techniques. But once that was over, we had formally adopted my youngest sister, and we had one little boy and another on the way, and we knew where we wanted to settle down and where we wanted to have our family, so we came back home, and we now have our home in Custer, South Dakota, and we just welcomed our 4th baby, Eris. She's almost 6 months old. I'm currently a stay-at-home mom, and I feel very fortunate to be in a position where my husband and I can divide caring for the family the way that we have, and very fortunate that I can stay at home and take care of my children. And that's one of my motivations for running for office now. South Dakota, our home, is a beacon for freedom. It's a beacon for the American dream. There's no place, literally, seriously, in the world where I'd rather raise a family, but I feel a responsibility to try and keep it that way. My husband and I are very comfortable right now, but we understand that many of our neighbors are having a hard time raising their families on an honest day's work, and that's not okay. Our educators are one of the most poorly compensated in the country. They work tirelessly on caring for and educating our children and preparing them for the future. We need to support our teachers and our educators. We need to do everything we can to make sure that when those children come of age, they have jobs to go into. We need economic development, responsible economic development that focuses on entrepreneurship and technical training and preparing people for the jobs of tomorrow, expanding our agricultural options, and taking advantage of some of the refinements of substances like hemp, which does not contain the THC component of marijuana. It can't make you high, but it can make you a home or paper or clothing or fuel, and you name it. And the post-production opportunities there for manufacturing all of those things are just exponential. I think we could get ahead of that. But one of the most important things I think that our district in particular needs to address is irresponsible use of our resources. And yes, right now I'm talking particularly about uranium mining. We depend heavily on tourism. We have to keep our beautiful land pristine to draw tourists here every year. But beyond that, we need to keep our water clean. If we're going to have families here, if we're going to have if this is going to be a livable area, we can't leach uranium and then pump that back into the aquifer. There's no way to keep that clean. And I'm going to, whether I'm elected or not, continue to fight that issue.